Hello and welcome to Gold and Silver Assets. It's the 24th of November 2019. So lately the gold price has been showing a poker face. It's been quite difficult to trade the price action, and during the week we had a few concerns that actually the short-term bottom might be in. But of course the price movements are intended to shake you out. So what is going on with gold at the moment? Let's start with the gold US dollar price on the daily scale. And here in the red is that long-term support line, which, as I said last week, I doubt that's going to be broken. And we've also got this uptrend line going back to last year's lows. And this is that confluence of support that we've been talking about. So last week we saw price rise and then a slight breakdown over here. Now, where are we going to go from here? Some people are wondering whether the bottom is over here, but I'm doubtful. I think we're going to get some more downwards movements. And so why do I think this? So there are a few reasons. Now, in the longer term, as I said, I'm quite bullish, and in order to get through this overhead resistance here at 1560, we're going to need quite a bit of energy. And so I kind of think of this a bit like having a slingshot. And so the further back you pull on the slingshot, then the more power it's got to throw the projectile forwards. So what I'm hoping for is a pullback down to at least the $1,400 area. Ideally, if we can hit this trend line here at the 1360, 1365 area before the end of the year, that would probably give us enough energy to start moving upwards again. But it's very difficult to know at what point price would turn around. Of course, if price goes below these two areas here, then I would flip my position and start turning bearish, and I'd be extremely bearish if price goes below the 1240 level. Why else do I think price is going down? Well, next week we've got on Monday the COMEX options expiration, but also on Friday the futures deliveries officially go off the books. And when we look at the commitment of traders report, it's currently at record open interest. So you've got the commercials and banks which are heavily net short compared to the speculators and funds which are net long. And which of those are going to win? In general, usually the commercials and banks do tend to win their bets. But of course, this isn't a dead cert. It's not the best indicator, but it's a useful guide sometimes. If we look at the US dollar gold price on the 4-hourly scale, so we're zooming in here, in the week we started forming this wedge here, and we broke out, and then we've retested, and then we've come back down again. And this price action makes me think that we're at least going to go down to the 1446 level. If we break the 1446 level, then there's much further downwards movements expected. But of course, this isn't a certain pattern here. It could be forming a different pattern that we just can't see yet. So one thing that I like to do is look at the gold price in foreign currencies, because this can sometimes help confirm our views. One good one at the moment is gold against the Australian dollar on the daily scale. And I think this is a pretty clear-cut descending triangle here. And we broke out. We had an early retest of the base of the triangle. Price then broke down, and then we've had further retests over here. If this is the correct pattern that we're looking at, then we would expect price to drop down to around the 2000 level between now and the end of the year. And this is basically based on the measured height of the triangle. But also we've got this rising trend line here, which would coincide with that. Also, if we look more closely at the 4-hourly scale of the Australian dollar gold price, this is the price retesting around the base of the triangle, and here we have what might be an ascending triangle, and it's a question of whether this breaks out of this, in which case we would expect downwards movements at least down to here, and if we break these lows I would expect much further downward movements. I would think that the pattern would be invalidated, so the larger descending triangle would be invalidated if we started getting price going above that upper trend line there. We can also look at the gold price in euros, and here we also have a symmetrical triangle forming, and price seems to be a little bit weak here, so if we see price break this lower trend line, again further downwards movements. So putting all this together, we can't know for certain which way price is going to go, but on balance of probabilities I'm looking for further downwards movements in the short term. Probably some point we'll get a low between now and Christmas. Okay, well, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.